All right, folks. Welcome to Beyond the Pitch. Sorry once again for some technical snafus here with Martin on the Manchester United show. Anyone that's familiar with Google Hangouts, I need your help. We wanted to have Micky Thomas on this show, but for some reason, I have no idea how to connect a phone call to Google Hangouts. If anybody knows how to do that, let me know. Thanks very much for joining us once again. I'm Phil, of course. Absolutely delighted to be joined with Martin Walwork. Martin, how's things, mate?
Doing well, mate. Especially after another 3 points on the board.
Yes. By the way, folks, we're selling these custom-made mugs. Anybody would like to buy one? We can put whatever message you want on here. Not a problem. This is straight off the boat from Shanghai. This is specially custom-made with the stains and everything. We'll put the spelling mistakes, whatever you want, on here. Some delicious beverages in here, by the way. Which I'd like to raise a glass, a cup, or whatever to all the Manchester United haters out there who right now are not looking forward to 2017. You think 2016 was bad? 2017. United, Martin, looking fantastic. By the way, anybody, I don't accept checks, cash only. We'll give you the address later. 140 quid a cup. We can put Liverpool on here as well. It'll be the only cup they'll be getting. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? Wasn't the best performance today, but as you usually find over the Christmas period, Boxing Day usually brings all the goals in the games. The New Year's Day usually. Games around New Year's usually bring the strange results. That fatigue starts setting in. And even though we made 5 changes to our team, you could see we were a little bit heavy legged in especially in the midfield in the first half. But again, finding a way to get it done.
Finding a way to get it done away to West Ham. More that's a good result. They've won their last 2 games at home. We were talking on the show here a couple of days ago. You were saying that you didn't think United would rotate a lot. I thought they would. I thought they'd make more changes. You called it right. I'll tell you something. What that tells me, a couple of things. First of all, Mourinho has enormous trust in the players that he's picking. The core, which didn't change, obviously, you had a couple of changes. And the ones that can't get in have no chance of getting in. Mourinho has no trust in them whatsoever. So if you're one of the French players and you can't get a game at the moment, and someone's starting 2 games in 2 days, I'd get on the phone to their agent.
Yeah, a couple of ways of looking at it, isn't it? I mean, that's certainly one way, and the other thing is you don't really want to mess with that with the chemistry they've got going on. But obviously, you have to make changes. But you're starting to see, as we said the other day, that bench is starting to shorten a little bit, and the only changes were made. We both called it. We figured that Jones and Rojo would come straight back in because that seems like it is the first choice central defensive partnership right now. And one of the, I think I said one of the front 3 would step out. No surprise, it's Martial after a couple of games in short time, considering he's spent quite a long spell on the sideline. So that really didn't surprise me. Mkhitaryan coming back after his injury. No surprise to see him come off. And for me, I just don't think right now, if absolutely possible, you have to put those 3 in midfield because they're just driving us right now.
Folks, I'm going to repeat a request I put out on the start of this show here when no one was watching. So one of the reasons why we were a bit slow on the air today is we wanted to have Micky Thomas on the show, but having a Scooby had to use Google Hangout and connect a phone call. If anybody knows how to use Google Hangout and actually connect a phone call, not an email, I need to ring Micky's phone, but I have no idea how to connect them here. Anybody can give us some technical assistance. Drop me a tweet or Martin a tweet, and we can connect Micky during this conversation. Otherwise, I have to do it differently. Normally, we use Skype, but Skype's just a crap platform and it's just really unstable. So Google Hangout works out much better. Plus, we can live stream. So if anybody has any idea how to connect a phone call, let me know. And like I said, we're selling these cups. I'll put your girlfriend's name on here if you want. It easily comes off if the wife walks in. You can put her name on. Not a problem. But mate, a couple of things. Let me talk about Mourinho for a second, because one of the traits of a great manager is he gets players to play above themselves. When you saw under Van Gaal and Moyes, you were questioning why exceptional players were not reaching a certain level, why they were all playing beneath themselves. You knew they were better than what they were. What you're seeing with Mourinho is the opposite. You're seeing players playing above themselves. Great managers do this. They get players to have immense self-belief. You get the best, not just the best of them, but you get above and beyond. Look, this is the best form of Phil Jones's career at United. Rojo, who I don't rate, and whose distribution, is awful. Eric Bailly's distribution, is better than El Chapo's.
Yeah, but we talked about it, didn't we? It's about a partnership. Jones and Rojo clearly came in at a time when they were needed, whether it's for resting players, whether it's for suspensions, whether it's for injuries, but they took their opportunity. They've proved they can play together, complement each other's game. Rojo still, he's a red card waiting to happen. He's got to be feeling pretty lucky with himself today that their boy Faguli gets sent off for that tackle. And
Rojo's been getting away with those for weeks,
and stayed on the pitch for two horrid 2-footy tackles. But hey, yeah. It's the way it goes, isn't it? But the thing Jose's done is he's also shown an ability to adapt. I mean, Van Gaal was very, very structured in the way he wanted to do things, and he wasn't willing to change from his directive and from the ideas that he had, the plans he had. That was it. It was, this is how we're going to play. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then then it's on the players. Jose earlier on used Pogba in a completely different position, was way deeper in on the pitch, almost sitting in front of the back four. Carrick wasn't even in the reckoning, wasn't even getting on the bench. But he's shown an ability to be flexible, change the way we play a little bit, and it's bearing fruit right now. It's it's started to click, and there's still plenty to come. That's the scary thing for those above us who are starting to look over their shoulder now.
A couple of things for me. First of all, Martin, when you look at Rashford, Marcus Rashford isn't scoring the same goals that he was scoring last season. There was concerns about whether Rashford would get playing time under Mourinho. Mourinho stuck him on the left, brings him in and changes games, and is developing that kid's game to make sure he's not just a Michael Owen. He's someone with a bit of pace that scores a couple of goals. There's much more to his game. I think Rashford is having a fantastic second season, not scoring the goals, obviously, that he scored last season. But for me, people talk about that second season syndrome. Rashford, for me, has been brilliant in a second season. When you look at United today, for 60 minutes, they were scrappy. Really, they were poor. What you would expect, like you said, the second game of game in 2 days, they lacked energy. But Martin, winning scrappy games away from home at West Ham, a game that United weren't winning last season, weren't winning 6 weeks ago. And substitutions that are actually changing the game. Van Gaal was always negative substitutions, so predictable. Fullback after 60 minutes, another fullback, and then a negative substitution. Like we said on the show the other day, Van Gaal would bring in Fellaini to change the game. And United, on the other hand, now are bringing in attacking players to change the game, and all coming in with a point to prove. And you're seeing the best of these players now. So I think the confidence level in this team now that they're going to score, that they have players that are going to change games. We talk about leaders. It's funny. People always say, "Oh, you're lacking leaders." Everyone's lacking leaders. The leaders today come in a different form. Leaders today come in the form of when you're losing a game, you're drawing a game, you need to win a game, and someone picks a ball up 35 yards from goal, skips past a couple of players and scores. That's what a leader is today. Someone who changes a game for you. United have those players. Mkhitaryan, for me, reminds me a lot of Hazard. Martin, guy, that's a Mourinho player. A guy that sits on the wing, cuts inside with pace, beats players, scores goals.
Yeah, and the thing with Rashford is he's being asked, obviously, a completely different role out of necessity last year. he's played far more games than a player at his age in that position should be playing. I was quite happy coming into this year if he played 20 games. He's got to be managed. But for all those people who say they don't have the confidence in him, or there's no belief in him and he shouldn't play, if that doesn't show belief and confidence in a player, bringing him on, game after game, being told that you're the match winner here, go and get us a goal. I mean, that shows the belief that Jose has in him, and he absolutely 100% changed the game today. I was talking to a couple of lads, my boy Richie in England and Niall over there in Canada during the game today, and we were saying, Mata needed to come on, create a little bit of space, find those pockets of space that were, because West Ham were really congested in the middle of the field. We needed Rashford to bring on some width and some pace, and allowing Mata to work in those little pockets of space that would develop due to the width and the pace. And Rashford's come on there, and he's terrorised that right back. Set up one, almost set up Pogba with a second. And Mata again coming on and doing what he does best and finding those little areas of space to get the winners in.
People have been kindly tweeting me messages about how to do this Google Hangout thing with phone calls. I downloaded the Google Voice thing, but still haven't a clue here how this works. When I go to the 3 dots on the side, it just says add apps, discover more apps for your video call. So I don't know if we're going to be able to add Mickey into this. It may be get him to download a Gmail account and just add him in on the next one. But thanks very much for tweeting these messages, folks. It's a shame because Mickey's always brilliant, really, really entertaining, and always very interesting. But on top of what you were saying there, which I didn't hear a word because I was reading it, so I'm not sure if it was just like magnificent punditry there. But
outstanding work.
Well, sorry, what did you actually say again, man?
It was just saying, Rashford's he's just showing complete confidence in the boy to bring him on after 60 minutes or whenever, I can't remember exactly, 60, 65 minutes when they brought him on. There's a lot of fans out there complaining he's not getting the time he deserves, and he's been edged out a little bit, and there's no confidence in him. I'd say exactly the opposite, in that asking a boy to go on there and get you a winner, he's showing every bit of confidence in him. And he does it again, and bringing Mata on. I mean, at half time there, you're making a substitution, going to 3 at the back, pushing Valencia out wide right in a 0-0 game, not in a game that we're losing, but it's the substitutions again that are a big difference from last year, in that they're positive substitutions all the time now. We're looking for that winner. We're not going there and settling. I'll guarantee you this time last year, we'd have settled for a point there. We'd have been conservative. We'd have brought a fullback on. We'd have kept a back 4. And again, 2 games in 2 days, or third time in a week, really, that Jose's, made these positive substitutions, changed the game, and the players he's bringing on are completely influencing the results.
Can you imagine where United would be right now if Mourinho had got that job 6 months ago when he should have? If Mourinho had got that job 6 months ago when he should have got it, when United should have got rid of Van Gaal, they might be in FA Cup less. As much as I enjoyed winning that FA Cup, I'd have swapped it. Mourinho should have got that job in January. The summer would have looked different. Renato Sanchez was someone Mourinho wanted, and I think he'd have taken him with or without Pogba or not. I don't watch enough German football, but from what I hear, the kids had some difficulty settling. But nonetheless, I trust Mourinho in the market, Martin. Let me when Van Gaal came to Manchester United, this is a true story. He sat down with United scouts. It's exactly the same thing happened to Moyes, by the way. And Van Gaal was asking United, first of all, they said to him, do you want to sign Ander Herrera and Luke Shaw? Because those deals were done, which he agreed. He knew nothing about either of them. But he agreed, and United had told him, we've no midfield. We need midfielders. Obviously, he comes in, he's not impressed by Luke Shaw. But here, he sat down with United's scouting team and Woodward and everybody else. And he asked them for reports on left backs, right backs, centre backs, midfielders, forwards, everything else. And United turned around and said to him, manager does that here. We don't do that. There's no director of football at Manchester United. There's nobody outside the manager that gets involved in recruitment. Nobody looks at players beyond the manager and his team. Hence the reason why David Moyes was always scouting. How many times did we see Moyes away scouting people? All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Van Gaal came in and said, I haven't bought players exclusively I'm solely responsible for buying players in years. Because at Bayern Munich, he didn't get the ability to do that. He'd been a national team manager. So Van Gaal's knowledge of players outside of Holland was really poor. And what did he do? He bought players that he knew. He bought Daley Blind, right? That he knew. Depay, of course, he knew Memphis Depay. Sergio Romero, right? Victor Valdez. So many of them didn't work, Martin. But most of the players that he went after were players that he knew. So you essentially had 2 years of atrocious recruitment. Also take into consideration, when United talked to Van Gaal about Ibrahimovic in March, Van Gaal said he didn't want him, right? So Mourinho's had to undo 2 years of 3, essentially, of awful recruitment. Now, he knew the situation before he came in, that this was going to be the case, that you're essentially going to be completely responsible for recruitment. But in many ways, Martin, he loved that idea because of Chelsea. He was heavily undermined by not being able to get rid of the players that he wanted to get rid of that were toxic in the dressing room. At Chelsea, Amanello was the one who signed Papa Dodgy defender, right? And all the rest of those lads, they were Amanello signings. They were not Mourinho signings. And of course, was restricted heavily in not being able to get rid of people that he needed to. That's not the case at United. They can get rid of anybody. And Wayne Rooney, the special exception status is gone. In many ways, United still recruit like it's 1986, where a manager has complete autonomy, because the club never evolved under Ferguson. This is the way Ferguson did it. There was no reason. If you look at, and just to bring this just quickly to a close, that cost United replacements for Vidic. It cost United replacements for Evra. It cost United replacements for Ferdinand. When all 3 of their contracts were up, United knew they were getting rid of Moyes. So instead of buying players and making sure the club don't stand still in between appointments, those contracts were allowed to expire and no replacements were bought. And then, of course, you get a new manager in after a World Cup who wants to look at what he has, and then scrambles at the last minute trying to buy players. It's amazing just how much Mourinho's had to undo.
Well, I think that's what people aren't seeing as well. I mean, people just think that he's going to walk in and he had the title as a special one. He thinks he's going to come in, he's going to wave this magic wand, and we're going to be playing unbelievable, fast, attractive, attacking football all of a sudden, when he just simply wasn't going to be the case. It's going to take him, maybe not even, I mean, we're going to get January. We both don't think anybody's going to come in January. But summer, and then maybe even January again. It's going to take him a couple of windows, I believe, to overhaul, not overhaul the squad, but there's dead weight there that's got to go. There's still a lot of numbers out there we've got to go. We've still got to try and find a way to move on some of these players on these massive contracts that we both know is a big issue. It's not as easy as, Schneiderlin's poor, he's not getting a game, let's move him on. Well, you're going to take a hit on the transfer fee we paid for him, and then you're going to have to try and find somebody to pay his wages. You're going to have to try and find somebody who's willing to pay these massive wages that Depay's on. Ashley Young's on over 100 grand a week. If we want to move him on, is he going to be,
he doesn't even get mentioned, by the way. I forgot about Ashley Young.
Right. Doesn't even, exactly. And is he going to be willing to take a pay cut? Actually, probably the type of player who he's happy where he is, or just wants to get a game somewhere. But he's become almost a specialist for United in that, he's going to fill in at left back, he's going to fill in at right back, he can play on the left, he can play on the right. But, we know that Jose is not a huge fan of these players who, can't nail down a position in one area, let alone 3 or 4. I think the only real exception there would be with Daley Blind, who can potentially fill in at in the holding midfield role and can play left back and play at centre back. But it's going to take him a couple of windows here to get the squad that he wants to get. and to get rid of the players that need to leave the football club in order to bring in and free up some transfer not transfer funds, but wage bill. And obviously with Rooney probably on his way, you would believe in July, that'll free up quite a sum of money for a weekly wage.
On the wages, for sure. Free up a lot of room on the bench for the size of Rooney's arse too. Um, so in around about October, November, United looked heavily at Danny Drinkwater. Really liked him. And Mourinho was really concerned about the lack of creativity in United. One of the things that he said is, back at the start of the season, it'd be easier just to come in and get 11 new players than undo Van Gaal and the work that Van Gaal, essentially the what he imposed on this United team of overthink, no instinct. Everything has to be thought. And so Mourinho had to undo that, was really concerned about the lack of creativity. They looked heavily at Danny Drinkwater, and same with defenders. Because of United's form and because players were told back then in October, November, either you perform or we replace you. It doesn't matter. And players got the message. Those players took that challenge, stepped up, and have given United the creativity that they needed, so they didn't have to go out and buy. Same thing with Valencia. Valencia is arguably, Martin, the best right back in the league. This guy's a right winger. I wanted rid of Valencia 2-3 years ago, and he's converted into a right back that's big, strong, quick, gives United an attacking option, go down the right. And to be fair, it was Van Gaal that turned Valencia into a right back with that weird system. But he's taken to it. You take a look at James Milner. James Milner's playing left back for Liverpool, trying to convert James Milner into left back. And he's nowhere near the level of Antonio Valencia. Valencia doesn't get anywhere near enough credit. So United's targets have evolved. As we have talked about Griezmann, United badly want Griezmann in the summer. The other one, of course, according to James Ducker, I think it was James Ducker wrote this in the Times, was Saul. Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid. He's very British as a British midfielder. He's a strong lad. People who watch a lot of Spanish football compare him to an old Brian Robson type player. Engine, up and down, fantastic strength. The goal he scored last year against Bayern Munich in the semi-final was fantastic. Atletico Madrid have been preparing for the exits of some of these players. He has a buyout clause of 80 million euros. So 60 million quid, 70, 60. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not unobtainable for United if they really want them. And so, and that's a very Mourinho type midfielder. Someone with a Fellaini, but talent.
Yeah, well, at some point, they're also going to have to address, the Michael Carrick situation.
Yeah, great point. Yeah.
Because he can only have another season in him at this level.
Mm-hmm.
I know we keep saying it, and people have probably been saying it for a couple of years now. Yes, we doesn't rely on his pace. We know that. But you can only play in this league for so long. So at some point, we're going to have to address that, unless he's already thinking, is there somebody within the squad, a Daley Blind and Ander Herrera, who's going to drop deeper? But I don't see it. There's got to be a replacement coming there for sure. With Griezmann's just one of those few players that comes up and it's somewhat available that you can't turn down. I mean, if there's a chance to go out and get a Griezmann, you go and get him. Mm-hmm. I mean, Rooney's as good as gone. So we're going to need someone to replace him. Yes, we have Rashford waiting in the wings there. Yes, we have Martial, but we've already proved these guys are all going to play. And to get United back to where we need to be, competing in the latter rounds of the Champions League, to be competing, in the later stages of the FA Cup, of the League Cup, being challenging for titles. You're going to need squad, and you're going to need a squad that has the depth, and like you said earlier, has the trust of the manager to, when it comes to this Christmas period here, the winter period where we're playing so many games, to be able to rotate a little bit more than he has done, with the confidence that we can go and get a job done. Griezmann seems like, and we're going to throw all our weight behind that one. I mean, that looks a certain. And
You know, sorry, mate.
Good.
One of the things Mourinho has done is an unbelievable job of making it so smooth to replace Rooney. When you want to replace a player, a key player, the best way to do it is to phase them out and then move them on, so that essentially you've already replaced them. So that if Rooney was to leave in January, United wouldn't miss him. It's not a situation where he's going to play to the end of the season and then you try to figure out what to do after he's gone. Mourinho not only he's done everything we said he was going to do. What did we say at the start of the season?
Yeah.
He's going to give Rooney the rope to hang himself. And by the way, this is purely rumor. But supposedly Jose Mourinho, I don't know. I'm not saying this is fact, but supposedly Mourinho was very, very upset with Rooney over the Christmas period, over having won too many over the Christmas period, and that was the real reason for his absence. I'm concerned about Rooney, to be honest, Martin. I think if Wayne Rooney can't, at this point in his career, when he's at the worst point of his career, the lowest point of his career, can't put a bottle of red wine down, the guy has a problem. I sincerely hope that's not the case. But if it is the case, Wayne Rooney deserves nothing but support and sympathy, because there's a lot of ignorance out there about alcoholism, and people tend to it's his own fault. No one puts a bottle to your mouth. If Wayne Rooney suffers from alcoholism, and that's a big if.
Well, there is. I mean, there's many a club and pub in Manchester where he is actually exiled from, and he's
is that right?
From. Yeah, we know that for a fact. So I mean, that may tell you.
What do you know about it?
Well, just I mean, I've got obviously with my contacts back in England, it's on good word that there's a lot of bars there and a lot of late night clubs that, they won't let him in. I don't know when that comes from, whether that's a couple of years old or whether that's more of a recent thing. But if so, it could be a good thing.
No, it's a good. What I was going to say was it's a good thing. We don't employ that criteria, Martino, or you'd be lost, Paul. Being kicked out of bars and being barred and not being allowed in for starting. Neither, because you get a few swallows in you. You know all about it, boy. What is it? To catch a thief, you have to think like a thief. So here, seriously, you hear this stuff too. I've heard Rooney is caused problems and with the drink and just we mentioned this on the other day, and I don't want to keep going on about it, but when I look at the coverage of Paul Gascoigne in the UK, which is an absolute disgrace, the Sun newspaper are essentially putting Gaz's life on the front page and making it a spectacle when the guy clearly is ill. And then you have them joking about Roberto Firmino getting a drink driving offence, which is no joke. And then holding Wayne Rooney up as a national scandal because he drank on England duty when it was his day off. The media have responsibility here to report this properly. And I can tell you for a fact, what the media actually print and what they actually know are two different things. The media have covered for Rooney and his drinking exploits for a long time. And some of this is about Paul Stratford asking people to do him favours in the media and not print this. Some of this is about making sure you retain a relationship with a player and not slaughtering him in public. So the true story about the exploits, and it's not just Rooney, to be fair. Loads of players get away with this. It's not a new problem. So I sincerely hope that if Rooney has a problem with alcohol, he gets sympathy. Forget what he's making, because the 100 and 300 grand a week or whatever makes no difference. It doesn't stop people being human. And but I will say, yes, man. First time I found out Rooney was Irish was when he was drunk. The media like to remind you, you know. So anyway, but just I hope I hope the lad gets help. And because if that is the reason for his downfall, it's really quite sad. Another point, Martin, De Gea. So De Gea, excellent again, right?
Massive saves.
But I think this is the first year David De Gea doesn't get Player of the Year for Manchester United, and I think that is a massive statement from Mourinho more than anything else. That you're not. Finally, there's outfield players that that you could say are having exceptional seasons, and you're not dependent on De Gea every week.
Well, you know you're in trouble when your goalkeeper's getting Player of the Year. I mean, come on, for your goalkeeper putting Player of the Year, and how much he's seen the ball, that's that's frightening. Not that he didn't deserve it, by the way, for a couple of years there in a row, but it could go. It's going to go to a number of players this year, and it's like you say, it's just direct correlation of how we're playing, the system that's in place now. And it's nice to be able to look at a team and not notice the hair. But then you see him today, two massive. So the one from Antonio, then we scored a couple minutes later. The one early in the first hand with the going over with his top hand over the top.
Incredible.
He's agility is incredible. I mean, he's right up there, if not better at this point than Manuel Neuer. I mean, it's so crazy. It's so crazy
in the world by far.
I think so, and I don't quite understand why he doesn't get the credit he deserves in the media. I mean, he gets it. Oh, he's up there. He's up there. I mean, what more does he have to do? For 2 years, he single-handedly kept us in a respectable position in the league. Can play with his feet, his distribution. I mean, he's playing 30 or 40-yard diagonal balls a la Paul Pogba. You know, he's just a complete goalkeeper. And yeah, it could quite easily get Player of the Year again. Not that he won't deserve it, but it will go this year. It's going to be nice where we've got a handful of players to pick from who could receive an award this year.
Best goalkeeper in the world for me, and he deserves credit because the way the whole Real Madrid thing happened, he didn't get the move that he wanted. Obviously, I can understand why he wanted to leave at that time. Casillas had just left. United were in a mess. It wasn't a fun place to be with Van Gaal there. And he wanted to go, didn't get the move. And to be fair to him, Martin, he hasn't behaved like a smack does. He's got his head down. He's behaved. And didn't put in a transfer request a year later. That's how important that Mourinho appointment was. Not just about keeping De Gea, but if somehow Van Gaal had have convinced United to keep him for another year after the FA Cup, can you imagine where United would be right now?
It's frightening. It's pretty scary to look back and consider what could have been. But like you say, fair play to the lad. I mean, head down and looks a really happy man as well right now. And there's no better place for him.
Best goalkeeper in the league. All right, so Martin, here's the league. United are 5 points behind Liverpool. They're sitting in 6th, point behind Arsenal. Still 3 points behind City. 5 behind Liverpool, 10 behind an amazing Chelsea. I would say if you look at this season as a whole, just separate was probably October to November, October end of November. United have been excellent. This second half of the season, I agree with them not signing anybody in January, as I said before. Now for United, it's about getting the right players, calculated gambles. Like we were talking about Sol's agent is Jorge Mendes. If United want Sol Niguez, they'll get and he wants to come. It's an easy deal. So imagine, I'd rather wait until the summer. United sign in the summer, Sol, Griezmann, Lindelof. If that was United summer this summer, and maybe one other defender, I'd be delighted. With Schneiderlin out, Depay out, Fellaini out, because I think Fellaini will go. Maybe Ashley Young. I can't. Who else? Maybe Rojo
or Darmian. I mean,
I
all
darn
I
me,
mean,
and I would get rid of him.
but
In fact, I would make sure you drove him to playing that lad's end up sure to miss it.
he looks like he's got the confidence of Jose though. I mean, when we changed that back four, he came right back in and was playing well with on the left hand side, surprisingly enough. But if you are going to bring in two defenders, defenders need to go. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Smalling. I mean, does Smalling manage to get back in the team, or does he be deemed surplus to requirement? You know, the likes of Arsenal would probably come knocking, maybe Liverpool, but teams who desperately need centre halves.
Smalling's fault for the goal against Middlesbrough, Martin. Watch
Yep.
it. Watch how flat-footed he is.
Yep.
He goes to follow Negredo, gets caught in between Negredo and Leber. United don't track a runner. That's been a problem all season for United. Not tracking midfield runners. Don't track the runner. Smalling gets caught because he's ball watching instead of anticipating the play. That's what Michael Carrick does really well that you don't see.
Doesn't need the pace.
Knows how to read a game. Knows exactly where to stand. This is why Carrick may have another year or two, because his game isn't built on being someone that covers a massive amount of ground where you need a big engine.
Well, he's not your dynamic midfielder, is he? He's not a dynamic midfielder who's going to go box to box. He puts himself in positions where he doesn't need to lunge into tackles, where he doesn't need to make last ditch tackles. He's one step ahead of the game there, just like Paul Scholes was. You know what I mean? These players seem like they have so much time on the ball because they put themselves in the right areas, intelligent areas of the pitch, and can make up for some shortcomings by just how intelligent they are. And Smalling does get caught. He gets caught out of position. It's not a player you can bring off the bench either to shore things up, because he needs to build himself into a game. Pogba's not a... He gets caught ball watching too. Still another one where he gets with his back to goal and the ball's in behind him is when Pogba gets himself in trouble, because he didn't follow them runners either in that game for that goal.
You're not getting defensive discipline out of Pogba though.
Oh, and my point being, since he's been moved further up the field, we're not going to get that. He doesn't need to do that now with Carrick coming into the team, because Carrick's going to do that and allowing Paul Pogba to play higher up the pitch. We said way earlier on in our shows, it's not what we bought Paul Pogba for. We bought Pogba to be higher up the pitch, to be making things happen on that end, and Carrick is able to allow him to do that. So even more important that hopefully there's a plan in place there to be starting to look at who's going to come in when Carrick, starts to decline.
Mate, I want to make a point about a tweet that I put out earlier regarding Jesse Lingard. It's difficult to explain these things on Twitter when you're limited. I'm not saying with Jesse Lingard you can't say that he's not a good footballer, you don't rate him, whatever. But we live in an era where the last 90 minutes or the last half an hour defines everything. If United lose, they're crap. If they win, they're brilliant. If they lose, Mourinho's should be sacked. If they win, Mourinho's the greatest manager. He's just back to the special one. And this goes on and on and on. Andy Mitten responded to this tweet saying that most of the things you get on Twitter are not a reflection of United support or reality. If you're a Manchester United fan and you think that, because I've had some of these tweets sent to me about no one cares that he's an academy player. Right or wrong, United fans always have a culture of giving their academy players, the young lads coming through a system, a bit of breathing space. Yes, Jesse Lingard's not a kid, but there's been no time in United's history when they haven't had squad players that aren't Ronaldo. This is not a video game. This is not Football Manager. You need players that are going to sit on the bench for you, and when you bring them in, swing a ball in that happened against West Brom, or the goal against Chelsea away last season, or the things that Jesse Lingard, the FA Cup final, right? If you want to find reasons to dislike Jesse Lingard to prove your point there's not a great football, you'll find them.
Yeah.
But Jesse Lingard is a good squad player. Yes, he doesn't have the talent of Martial, but it's not his fault that Martial wasn't in the team. It's Martial's fault because he was crap before this game. But anybody that's slating Lingard because he's not United standard, or because he's not some Galactico, or you know, just shows an ignorance of Manchester United. And I mean, if you want to say that he's not a great player, fine. But what do you think? You think United are just going to go out and have players sitting on the bench that are world class footballers that don't get to play? I mean, the fact that he's getting in the team is more of a slight on Martial than Lingard. And I can tell you right now, United have had a lot worse players sitting on the bench than Jesse Lingard. And there's many clubs in the Premier League or would love to have Jesse Lingard. If United made him available, no shortage of clubs have taken him. Leave the kid alone.
Yeah, and these are the same people, same so-called fans who will also complain about United losing their identity by going out and signing the foreigners. So it's which one is it? Do you want to try and bring these kids through? The kid will die in the shirt. You know what I mean? He's going to go to work for you. He'll give you a good 50, 60 minutes. He's going to miss chances, like he did today. But he's not going to be the one to try.
Today, Martin, if you're going to criticise Lingard, it shouldn't have fell to Lingard. Valencia and Mkhitaryan should have scored before that.
Well, if Valencia's got a left foot, he puts that in left footed, doesn't he? I mean, it's only because he's trying to let it come across his body and and play it right footed that he ends up missing. But I've got no problem with Lingard. Look, he's not going to be first name on the team sheet. He's not going to play every week. He's not going to play 60, 70 minutes every week. What he's going to do, he's going to give you a decent. He'll win you the odd game. He's not going to lose you anything, though. I'm a fan of Lingard. I love the fact that he's come through the system. I love the fact he's one of our own. I love the fact he's a United fan from birth. And like you say, you've got to have these squad players who are going to be happy playing bit part roles from time to time because they're at the football club they love. You can't have all these world class players sitting on 150 grand, 200 grand on the week on the bench. Ask Yaya Toure how that feels.
Yeah, everybody needs those players. Every club, every squad, everybody needs those players. I remember in the Galactico we were at Real Madrid, they had Juti, right? Yeah. Not a magnificent player, solid player that would come in, give you 100%, not moan and complain. Everybody needs those. And so when you look at United spent 25 million on Depay, right? Who never reached anywhere close to what Jesse Lingard has done. That would have saved his career, United, if Depay had been doing that. So, yes, he's not going to be winning the Ballon d'Or anytime soon, right? That's all right. It doesn't have to be. But, yes, he was crap against City in the derby. So was Mkhitaryan. Yeah. So what? Yes, he's 24. Look, I don't like the younger generation in some of their antics either, right? All that nonsense last year up in Park, uploading the videos, right? I don't like it either, right? But I'm a different generation, and that's not reason enough to dislike Jesse Lingard. Leave Jesse Lingard alone. Of all the problems that have existed inside United, he's the least of United's worries. All right, before we go, Martin, we'll be back again next week after United in the FA Cup against Reading.
Good return for Yaps Down.
Yeah, big Yaps Down.
It's going to be a good one. Last thing I wanted to touch on, though, before we go here, and again, it's highlighted in today's game. At what point are we going to make referees come out and explain decisions? A ludicrous red card for them today. A worse tackle in the second half. 2 foot, he jumps in on. I can't remember who it was. It was on the sideline by the dugouts. I can't remember who did it for West Ham. That was a worse tackle, not a yellow card. Yes, Zlatan's offside. We get it. That's fine. Them ones, it's half a yard. I'm not as concerned about those. But these red cards, somebody's got to tell me what the standard is here, and make somebody accountable. Mike Dean, I mean, it's going to be the second season in a row, that he's going to lead the league in sendings off. So at what point are we going to get some consistency from these people?
Oh, yeah, you do get consistency. Consistently
shy. Yeah, exactly. That and the other thing is, as we both touched on, all the ABUs are going to be out in force now with the, you're down to 10 men. or they were down to 10 men, and you needed
Cheers,
this, you
boys.
needed that. Look,
Custom made
go on.
cups.
Just go
Wait a
on
minute, sorry.
the Manchester Evening News website and look at the 14 shocking refereeing decisions
By
that
Samuel Luckhurst, young
have
Sam,
gone
done a brilliant
against us
job.
this year, and then try and tell me that Man United get all the decisions. It's a fallacy. It is outrageous, and just so sick of listening to it. But at the same time, I love it because it just gives them something extra to pipe up about. They're going to continue to say we get all the decisions, and they're going to continue to say, look how much money you've spent. And you know what? Deal with it, because it ain't changing.
It's confirmation bias, mate. People look. Samuel Luckhurst on that piece in the Man, which is fantastic, by the way. Young Sam doing a great job as usual. Where he lists 14 major decisions that have gone against United this season. Many of which, yes, many of which have cost United points in games. I can't remember who the referee. I think it was Jonathan Moss. Was the referee against West Ham when United went there earlier in the season. It was in the FA Cup, I think it was. And it was terrible at Old Trafford too. So, the thing is, I must say, I like the character of this United team, that they don't allow one or two things to go wrong to give them an excuse to lose. Refereeing decisions go against them. They're not, all right, everything's against us here. And not find a way to win. And I have to say, especially when you look at the Middlesbrough game, Martin, 10 minutes to go, decisions have gone against them. They've hit the post twice, hit the bar, and they found a way to win. That's really, really positive today. Don't underestimate that win. That's a brilliant win.
It's a massive win. Right? On a day when we probably played as badly as we have done during this run. I'd go back probably a month before this run started as well. We weren't at our best. It was sluggish. It was a performance that you could see was on the back of plenty of games in the last few days. But we found a way again. And hey, I'll tell you what, West Ham put up a great fight after going down at 10 men. So I don't think it makes that much of a difference when you go down at 10 anyway. All it means is you're bringing a striker off, you put another defender on. You might not be as expansive going forward, but you're going to pack it in and then make it even more difficult to break down, which we managed to do again. And again, another game where you felt like last season before, it was a lost cause. This today, just like Middlesbrough, we're going to do something. We're going to get another chance. It's going to go in. It's a good characteristic of a United side that we're used to watching.
Absolutely, folks. Thanks very much for watching another one of these. We'll make sure we get Micky back on the next show. We'll get him to download the Gmail, and we'll get him back on here. Thanks to all of you who tweeted me the messages on how to do this. We'll sort it out for the next one. Stay with me, because I'm coming up with Danny Higginbotham here in a few minutes, where Danny will join me to talk about all the weekend's games. And he was at City today, so we'll put out a new link for the United for the interview with Danny Higginbotham and my other co-host Ian Joy. So stay tuned for that. Before we go, I want to give a quick mention to the Offside Trust. Folks, if you're on Twitter, please follow the Offside Trust. The guys that are behind that are Andy Woodward, Steve Walters, who are putting together this foundation to bring about awareness and to help make sure what happened to them tragically never happens to anybody again. So please, if you get a chance, support that. Don't forget, subscribe to this Beyond the Pitch channel, so you get updates on when all these new videos coming out, because this will be the platform that you and I'll be broadcasting on in the future. You'll still be able to get it on iTunes, SoundCloud, but you'll not be able to see my and Martino's handsome face. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Martino, see you later, mate.
Thanks to everybody for watching. Big thanks to everybody from the banks of the River Irwell Facebook site. Big Man United fans out there and are fully behind supporters all the way. So thank you, guys. Have a good 2017.
See you, mate. Bye.